What's up, Huskies? Welcome to the first episode of On the Big Screen. My name is Sofia Azevedo.
And my name is Ben Parmalee.
And today we'll be discussing the movie The Long Walk.
The Long Walk is a film adaptation of the 1979 Stephen King novel. Following a mysterious war that left the United States in financial ruin, there was an effort to raise morale, and one person per state is sent to Louisiana to begin marching and marching and marching until the last man is left standing, while the rest are shot and killed. So what do you think?
I definitely think Stephen King, first and foremost, he kind of drops you in this atmosphere. He doesn't explain how you got here. He doesn't explain what was going on in the world. You enter the movie and you're like, okay, the world is doomed. We are all poor. And for some reason, this is the thing that we've resulted to.
And as a background, this book was written in 1979. That's following the Vietnam War, and Stephen King, he saw his friends sent away to their deaths for a reason that they didn't quite understand, and basically he took that and created an abstract idea of these people literally walking to their death, and it's really just an allegory of this pointless violence that keeps happening all throughout history, no matter the Vietnam War or anything else.
I do like what you said about them not knowing why, because if we remember in the movie, one of the main characters who we'll get into later, named Garrity, he talked about how all of the 50 boys who signed up for this didn't actually sign up for it. Every boy in the country, put in their forms to be considered, but none of them, while signing up for it, actually thought they were going to get chosen. So he had a really good monologue talking about how none of them really signed up for this. They kind of were all expecting to get rejected, and when they actually got accepted, they started having second thoughts, and they were like, wow, we're actually going here.
And speaking of these characters, man, I mean, you like them. These aren't just random kids that are like unlikable. Oh, when does this movie end? Oh, I want these people to die. No, you do not want to see these people get shot in the head.
We do have those characters that we want to die.
There are some people
Definitely.
You would like to strangle, but most of them, the main characters, obviously, you are invested. You want to see, do these people make it? Who makes it? Well, only one makes it. Spoiler, not really a spoiler.
I think the acting was so on point that I forgot that I was watching a movie for a second. Even the quote-unquote like jerks of the film, the rude bullies, they played their parts so well that I forgot that these actors aren't actually jerks in real life. And if you've seen the movie Stand By Me, you know that Stephen King has a way of creating those friendships of little musketeers, as they called themselves, kind of adventuring. But obviously Stand By Me has a better atmosphere than this movie.
I mean, like Garrity and his friend Pete, I want to be friends with Pete. Like, if I were to march to the death and know I'm going to die, I would want to do it with Pete. I mean, he is just like someone that I would want to be friends with. And I do agree about that, like Stand By Me. If you've seen Stand By Me, then you'll clearly go into this movie with a different understanding. It's very similar, same author, obviously. And basically these relationships, it's not like this visual storytelling. There's no like abstract grand plots. It's literally about characters and their relationships and how they affect each other and how they give each other company in their last moments on Earth.
So going into it, you don't have much expectations when it comes to beautiful landscapes. However, the movie did a really good job of not making it boring, cutting scenes exactly when they were supposed to end. Nothing lasted too long. And we did see some very beautiful landscapes when they were walking to make it a little bit better.
It takes place in Louisiana, and you might think, like, man, what's going on in Louisiana? But, like, every time they show, like, a cornfield or, like, these people or these buildings, you're like, it's kind of cozy. Like, I might live here. I might have a farm here. But then it's also desolate at the same time. These things, they juxtapose the beauty with like this like torment that's going on in this broken world with these beautiful fields and sunny sunsets and sunrises, and it creates like this contrast.
Which is something that the main character Pete brought up when he was trying to convince Garrity of kind of remind him of why they were there. He was like, the whole reason why we're here is that life is beautiful, the cornfields, the trees. He started listing just nature in general, and how even though you're in a world where war has ridden everyone hopeless and we've lost sight of what life really is and what it means to be living, Pete definitely had that outlook on life about we have to appreciate nature's beauty. And I think that definitely contrasted, because the next scene would be someone getting executed and you're like, oh, well, yeah, it was very cut and dry.
In the scenes where, people aren't getting executed, it is kind of warm. Like Ray Garrity, he's talking about how life is just moments one after another and you got to appreciate them. So it's like life advice and the things you can take to heart. And then the next shot is someone getting shot in the heart. So
I will say the movie, in terms of pacing, it had a really good way of kind of keeping you hooked in the way of keeping you on your toes, keeping you in suspense, constantly wondering who the next is going to be, tricking you into thinking one and then doing the other. And there were a lot of intense scenes where friends went back for each other, went back for a certain item, and they made that one decision that cost them their life. It was a lot of on-edge tension because you did have to get through 49 different deaths to get to the final one. So spread over a less than 2 hour long movie, I feel like it was definitely well paced. What do you think?
Like you think, oh, 49 people, you won't care about these deaths. It's just going to be like bullets and bullets, whatever, nonstop. But no, these deaths, each one, you feel it. And it takes a toll on you. And like, how much of more of this can I take? It's like shocking. And it stays shocking for the whole way through. No matter who's at the end, it's just like, you don't want these people to get shot. You're sitting in your seat shaking because please don't fire that gun. Please don't fire that gun.
So for a little bit of context, the rules of the game are that you have to keep walking. You have to walk above 3 miles per hour. And if you don't, you get a warning, and you don't get shot until the third warning. And they do have a way of waiting until the last possible second. You have scenes where boys are on their third warning and they're just running, they're hustling, they're like running ahead of everyone because they literally are being followed with a gun to their head. And we do see that happen with Ray, one of our main characters, which again, it's like you don't know who's going to win. You're always on edge. And I think that's a really hard thing to do as a director and as movie makers, is to be unpredictable, because that's the best thing about a movie, is when it surprises you.
My biggest gripe with the movie, and maybe you can disagree with this, is that it maybe was a little too violent, and the way they showed these deaths was kind of like, it became shock value. It's like, okay, maybe you could have cut that out, or maybe you shot it in a different way, obscure the camera, but no, it was just like this guy's head exploding or getting shot, put a bullet through it every time, and you're like, do we have to see this? Even if it's the reality, do we have to see this?
I think, especially with that last thing that you said, I think that is the reality of war and military conflict. I think that was done on purpose to show that people who are in a war environment, you're going to see your friends getting shot. You're going to see this kind of violence. And when we gasp and are like, oh my gosh, this is so violent, this is crazy, you have to imagine actually being there and actually seeing it, smelling it, hearing it. Gunshots will ring through your ears. You're going to smell that. You're going to hear it. You're going to see it for the rest of your life. This was definitely a choice made on behalf of the filmmakers to really shock you, because even though it happened 49 times, you were still shocked each time, because they would follow up a death scene with something really sweet, something heartfelt, something very wholesome. And then by the time it happened again, you would be like kind of calm and you wouldn't expect it. So every time you realize that this is what happens when you're in war.
But if you think, okay, I can take blood and the bullets, it doesn't stop there. There's some like bodily excrement scenes that you might be grossed out at. Like in the theater, half the theater gasped when something happened that was particularly gross that I'm not going to get into. And then likewise, there's some other body horror with the bodies doing things that they shouldn't, and you're like, ugh. But if you can handle that, then you can probably stomach this movie.
Right. I'm not going to say it's very realistic, but it's definitely, it gives you a glimpse of what it's actually like to walk hundreds of miles, because these kids did, by the end of the movie, walk over 200, close to 300 miles. They're not allowed to sleep or eat. They can eat whatever they've brought, but they can't sleep. They can't go to the bathroom. You have to imagine just the lengths that they go to for money, for winning. So one of the main characters in the movie, Ray Garrity, was played by an actor, Cooper Hoffman, who is relatively up-and-coming actor. This is one of his bigger works in his career.
I mean, I've never heard of him or seen him in anything before, so this might be his first big break, yeah.
A lot of these actors were actually very new, and I do love when that happens in a movie where you have a very strong movie, very much this could crash and burn or this could do really well, and they're all a cast of new actors, and I definitely think they all did it really well, especially when it comes to these rough topics of death in a very violent way. The actors did a really good job of reacting how a normal, humane person will react when they see someone shot in front of their eyes. Ray Garrity, when he first saw it, he was freaking out. He started like putting his hands over his head. He kind of started to realize what he's got himself into. And we definitely see that progress as he gets closer to the top 5. People start dying. He starts getting more and more angry about the system that this is. And they all start getting more, this system is messed up. This is unfair. I can't believe they're doing this. They get angry at themselves. They get angry at the general who's running it, the country. They react like normal human beings. And I feel like it's definitely important for a film to be realistic, even if it's a dystopian film.
And like back to when people are first getting killed, his reactions, I mean, they feel real. Like I've never seen a guy get shot in the head and like had to deal with that and think of that, hey, that could be me next. But he delivers that to where it feels real, that I'm actually watching this, that like these could be actual people in an actual war or actual competition or whatever. Like it pulls you in and it feels real.
And in that same string of acting, I feel like we see this from Pete a lot. On the other hand, when he sees people who are falling behind or about to die, he definitely gets very protective. He pulls them up. He walks with them. He's a very strong guy. He's very much like, you can walk with me. You can keep up the pace. Just put one foot in front of the other. The life or death situation is not lost on these people. It's in their eyes. It's in the way they speak, they move. It just adds to the viewer experience, especially when you're seeing it in theaters where it's pitch black, everything's super loud. They did a phenomenal job of making us feel like we were the ones who were on our last warning, and I think the acting was definitely phenomenal in this film.
And that leads me to like, this could be a commentary about like human nature and how like, even though it's a competition and they have to see these other people die in order for them to live, they don't want to see that. They want to help each other no matter what, even if it's the wrong thing to do in the situation where they should be fighting against each other, that they want to support each other.
And then on the other hand, we do see some situations where there's less people left. You're on like the 250th mile. And we see some characters start to realize that they're not going to be the ones to win. And they want to die with a purpose. They want to die with their head held high. And they kind of make the decision to fall back and stop walking. And we see that happen quite a few times in different scenarios with people that were loved, people that were hated. And we see the main characters develop this respect for these characters. Even if they hated them, they were like, you've done good. It was nice walking with you. They wished each other well. We see characters kind of give each other mementos to keep with them for the future. And it was definitely a very heartfelt experience. It was very sad because you knew what was about to happen and you watched them kind of fall back.
The actor's acceptance of death is very natural as well. These people, they've given up, like you've said, and the way the actors portray that, it feels real. They've given up, and at some point, it's like a release where they actually feel all this weight being lifted off of them, and they no longer are struggling. They no longer are scared because they know what they're going to do. They are going to choose to fall back and end it.
In the beginning of the film, we see characters have this very confident outlook towards the walk. They think that they're going to win. They think that they've got it, that they've got tricks up their sleeves. And then as we progress through the movie, you kind of see people start to just blatantly say, I'm not going to win this. I know I'm not going to win this. A lot of characters, when asked later in the film, like, oh, do you think you can be the one to win this? Like Pete himself even said, no, like, I don't think I'm going to be the one this. Garrity also said, no. They've kind of realized that they weren't going to be the one left standing. All in all, with all things considered, what would you rate this movie out of 10? And do you think it is worth going to spend money to see it in theaters?
Out of 10, I would say it is a nice 7.5. It's a story, it's focused, it delivers the themes that it's set out to deliver. It doesn't try to do anything else, and it's really, really good at what it is supposed to do.
I do like what you said about how it doesn't try to be what it's not. It definitely leaves room for interpretation. It doesn't try to explain why it's doing what it's doing in the movie because it doesn't need to. It conveys it through the way that it's filmed, through the dialogue, through the characters. I think the movie would also be around a 7.5, probably an 8 out of 10 for me. It's one of those movies that you're not meant to watch it more than once. You're meant to watch it once and let it stick with you. In my opinion, my favorite movies are the ones that I can watch multiple times. So with that rating, do you think that the audience should go and watch this in theaters? Is it worth spending money on to see on the big screen?
Yes, and especially on a big screen because, like we said, this movie is punchy. Like these gunshots, these moments, they work for a big screen. This isn't something that you can play on your phone and feel the same way and have that same impact. You should see this on a big screen and maybe with an audience that can kind of gasp and be in horror with you because these are these moments that you just can't get anywhere else except the big screen.
I completely agree. I think the level of noise that you get in a theater and the way that you're coated in darkness and it just adds to this suspense. It's very important to go see this with no other distractions. I definitely think it's worth seeing in the big screen. And that's all for today. Thank you for listening to the first episode of On the Big Screen. If you do decide to go see this movie, good luck to you. Don't go alone, and I hope you enjoy it.
And hopefully we'll see you next time for our next episode reviewing One Battle After Another, which releases September 26th.